Hey there, welcome back. So, today I want to talk to you about the need to say something, to confront someone, or to report the type of harassment that is being done against you. So, first of all, these types of things are executed by infantile people. Eh, they are either they're not complete people. Like there's something off in their head where they lack empathy, they have too much anger, they are possibly some type of cluster B people. Um, so by nature, most of these people are evil. Um, and the thing is that they're okay with it and they embrace it, which I guess it's totally fine. I mean, me as a target, I what am I gonna do about it? I don't even care, to be honest. People just are how they are, and there's gonna be predatorial people everywhere, just like there are predatorial animals. You know, there are also predatory people. Now, and well, the fact that I'm still working towards knowing how to identify it and ways in and I'm still trying to figure out ways to defend myself from them. It just a way that I show my strength. But since society is more of a, it's not brutal, but it's almost a more elegant way of war. It's not aggressive. It is aggressive, but it is indirectly aggressive. So it is a little bit more underhanded. Um, and well, a lot more underhanded. And it's something that if you approach with aggressivity, it's just gonna make you look ugly or desperate or crazy. So when you're saying anything about this, you really shouldn't approach it in an aggressive manner. You should do it in the most elegant way possible, because otherwise it's just gonna make you look bad. It's just gonna make you look hateful, or anything else on the list that is negative. But it is never gonna make you look like a hero. Imagine if I would have just gone online and just say out and say on my Facebook that I'm being that I just figured out that I have been conditioned to believe that I was being chased by cars and people, and that they were doing this thing, and that I was conditioned to perceive this number and this other number. Like, it just sounds incredibly absurd. and and if I would even speak up about it anywhere, I would just be done. Like, in no way, shape, or form anyone would take me seriously. Now, there really, even though it might make you feel good for a second that you're expressing the thing that has been done to you, the grand scheme of things, that you finally see the truth, um, there's really no need to say anything about it unless you're making something of it. So the only thing that is worth doing, in my opinion, is pretty much you make people aware of the things that have been done, so that someone who is going through it, or that has a mild suspicion that is going through it can be as prepared as possible to confront the situation in the way that will best benefit them. So, speaking up about it really in any normal type of media, something that you just do to have a release of anger is not something that you should be doing. So, direct confrontation or anything that is driven by an impulse or by a desire to release anger is never and will never be a good idea. However, there is a way to express this or anything, to be honest, in such a way that is that can't be used against you, and that is by using their same language. So, you know, gangstalkers have the ability of saying something and without saying anything else, you know that they meant to say the complete opposite. So they use the intonation, they use like facial expressions, they use all of these little subtleties in language that pretty much uh, convey what they really mean. And I'm not sure if they always meant it to come off like that, or if it's something where they cannot hide their tone of voice because it is blatantly obvious that they say the complete opposite. So like I'm not sure if it is just that I can hear it because I have a lot of practice, or because it is just something that they make so that it's so that it's um so that it's obvious to you. But you know, like everything, I'm pretty sure it's like a mixture of both. uh you know so I do think it, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's a mixture of both. And a lot of times I feel that they say something else because they say something and you know they meant something else because they just really can't control the tonality of their voice when they have a strong emotion, be a strong emotion that is that is carried through with the words. So for example, um, when when my friend, well, I don't want to call him friend, um, because now I know that he invited me to his house not to have sex, but to get me going with the drugs. So he when he said when when he was offering me the pill, I could already see in the Viagra. I could see in his eyes that he didn't have good intentions. It was a um a stare, a look in the eyes that that told me so. Um, and if you have been through something like that, you will know what I'm talking about. Like the expression of the eyes pretty much told me exactly what uh, why he was doing it. Um, and the times that I have been offered drugs, I have been able to hear uh, only with the tonality what the intention was. And I just, well, one, I not always paid attention to it. And a lot of times I was just too naive to recognize it. So I guess you also have to take into consideration the the situation. So like my the other guy the one guy that I took to the hotel, um, he was beginning to do the sketchy things, and I was like, "You need to go." I kicked him out, and I even dropped him off. And before he left, he offered me some drugs. Hey, well, do you want some? And I was like, no. And then he was not happy about that. He literally just had that "damn it" type of facial expression. So that also confirmed that to me that the entire plan was to get me effed up on drugs and have me just um have my um what do you call it, um just to like, I don't want to say whore, um I don't want YouTube to like block it or whatever. Let's just call it a does the slut walk around the block, where I would be for 3 days just doing the walk, um, looking for satisfaction. And and to be honest, the one thing that allowed me to see what their intentions was pretty much their tone of voice, their facial expressions. I had always seen them, but I just was so engulfed in lust and drugs, that I didn't really pay attention I didn't see the bigger picture. Um, but I should have known this years ago. So it is expected of a target to go out and try to do something about it, to communicate it with people. But well, typically this is done by the target in in the worst way possible, and by this time, the target's social pillars or of support are had been taken away from the target. And I mean, I have my mom, and my mom believes me, and I have you guys, and that's all I really need. But there's people out there who are going through things like this, and they have no one, and whoever they do have is a part of the Gangstalking group, and they're going to further traumatize and gaslight this person and tell them that they are imagining things. So that's just, they are gonna literally make that person crazy. And I'm gonna tell you, when someone first told me, or whenever I first figured that they had the intention of making me completely schizophrenic, I laughed my ass off. I was like, yeah, right. And it is possible, guys. You know, like I don't hear voices. I I don't. Well, I didn't. I was 100% normal, but this gang stalking experience did something to my brain. You know that now I hear voices with greater ease, and additionally, um, well, lately the sensations on my the sensations that came from that gang stalking experience have been less, but they still there. You know, they got a little bit crazy a couple of days ago, but they went away again. Um, whenever. Oh, and by the way, now I know that it was all delusion, because when I was telling everything I know to a gang stalker, he got to my face with a face of anger. He was upset. I swear to God. Um, and yeah, do you have it? I told him about the voices. I told him everything, and I literally just said, but I know it was all a delusion. And he literally just, he was like laying next to me, and he just literally just brought his face all over to my face, and then he seemed upset, like angry. He did not even try to hide it. So by that, I can already tell you that the voices and a lot of all those other things are a delusion. There is no technology involved. He already uh, told me indirectly, not willingly, but yeah. So these people, when they're upset, it's they can't hide that. So they can kind of, like, they're bad liars, but if you want to believe it's not gonna cost you much. Um, but these people have a really really hard time suppressing any emotion of anger, any type of negative emotion, anything that implies that they're a failure or that you are better than them in one way, shape, or form. And that's how you really know how they feel about you. Like if they are these types of people, whenever they see at your new shoe, whenever they look at your new shoes, look at their face, and you're either gonna see excitement or disdain or anger. Um, so even though uh, I had been doing crystal meth for a really long time, I still have all my teeth, and they're white as hell. And that same guy that I just told you about, who got to my face, really really angry, he literally like checked me out from top to bottom, and he just did not look happy at all, you know. And he acted completely different when we were chatting, but when we met, he was like a completely different person. And I don't think I he thought he was being like secretive, but his emotions were just all over the place. Um, well, I think I have run too far out of off the topic, but the main idea of this video is pretty much to tell you that if you are going either through, if you just are understanding what it means to be a victim of narcissistic abuse or of gang stalking, um, the best thing that you can do is to not say anything, to observe the tones of voice, the facial expressions. Um, Also, uh, make sure you have to build a, how do you say, a baseline of tones of voice or facial expressions. So by that I mean that if you're just getting to know someone, you want to pay attention to their mannerisms, to their tones of voice. Ask them about how they're feeling, and then use that as a little gauge to see how they express, to gauge that, to tie that expression, tone of voice, to how they're telling you that they're feeling. So like if they're like, oh, all right, that's what you want to hear, because that tells you that that's when you're feeling neutral. And now any deviation from the baseline that you have just produced, use that to gauge their emotion. So that so I learned this in the art of profiling. It's by Dan Coren, which is the same book that has been used to teach FBI agents on how to profile criminals and predict their behavior. So um, so when so try to really cement the baseline of this person into your head. Once you do, it becomes really easy to gauge any other emotion, because anything that deviates from the baseline means something. when when people have a strong emotion, they are very often, um, how do you say, very often taken aback or taken away by the emotion, and they lose focus on what their body is doing. But the body is always expressing the emotion. So if they're feeling like if they're upset, if something makes them upset, you're gonna see it on their face, and they're gonna do something with their body where they start like clenching, or but the body and the face are always gonna speak. If you need a little bit more practice on figuring out, on learning how to do that, start with the face, and then with time you take time to learn how to look at the face and at the body. But what happens to me is that typically I can it's really when they're thinking, I see them kind of just like get lost in their thoughts for a second, and then I pay attention to the face to see if they're conscious or if they're lost in thought, and then you can see and then I pay attention to the body, to confirm. So you have to make sure that there's consistencies all around, so like that the face and the body is expressing the same emotion. If they're telling you something, you want to make sure the tone of voice, the facial expressions, and the words that they're saying, and the timing of it is perfect. If there's any type of incongruence with any, that means that they're lying to you. So, but if you do find out they're lying to you, you cannot confront them about them. Never be confrontational, because by confronting them, you're only opening the doors for them to accuse you of being crazy, to accuse you of being a liar. These people are never gonna say the truth. They're never gonna admit to anything, because they know that as long as they're always denying it and they never admit to it, there is always going to be a little bit of doubt in your head, a little tiny speck of doubt that you might be wrong. And you have to learn how to see that, and know that you are right, even when they are trying to gaslight you into believing you're not. So that's why if you're gonna confront them indirectly, you know that's the only way you can do that with these people. And I still don't encourage it, because then they're gonna even get more upset. And the thing is that I have noticed that with these people, they are willing to lose their time, as they don't care about their own time as long as they make you suffer. Okay, that's all I have to say for today. Bye.